Good day, everyone. It's time to go kill a dragon. So, if you'll recall last time, we went through and completed our first round of Bitter Black Isle, taking down the initial version of Diamond. Which caused the dungeon to reset. But before we go through the real version of the dungeon, or the supercharged version of the dungeon, since we've completed the notice board quest that requires us to still be in the main story, we're now free to enter post-game. So, we'll do just that. By taking down Big Red. Hopefully this won't be too anticlimactic, because since we're just a wee bit over level, just a wee bit, but this commonly holds a Hydra strategy in it. I feel like that's the most common drop in it. So if you want to get your pawns some extra knowledge about Hydras, I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, there was that Hydra in the story. Very early on we fought, but we haven't seen hide nor hair of one since. Unless you stumbled across one in Bitter Black Isle. They can appear in the little arena rooms. Now you might recognize this place if you've started a new game and you've played through the practice area. You can get your Malorian Greaves here. So, if you'll recall, so there you are at Rin Bluff Tower. Wind Bluff Tower being here. If you complete the side quest for him and do it correctly, he should like you enough that he will give you a key. This key will open up a chest here into a treasure room, which will give you a Malorian helmet and a Malorian chest plate. So here you can find the boots. Now, at this point in the game, Caxton may actually sell the entire set as well. And I'm pretty sure there are places you can also find the gauntlets. That being said, there's really no need for the gauntlets, considering there's a piece of Bitter Black armor that really fits quite well with the set. I'll show you after this if I remember. The fighters and other red classes. Here is a new type of lizardman. A Geo lizardman. And these are the strongest, well, these are the most physically hardy lizardmen you will find. As you will notice, you can get Pharaoh cape here. That's the black version of the cape I'm wearing. As you notice, the enemies here are going to be post-game enemies. So they're a little taste of what you will start seeing after beating the dragon. There's 2 succubi in here. So, just fancying that out. 1 or 2. I thought there were 2, but I feel like the last time I came through here there were 2. Well, they're more up here. Alright, but my apologies for losing my train of thought earlier. You might recognize this place if you've started a new playthrough as the sort of tutorial demo, a little playthrough where you are controlling Savan. And you play through and there'll be a Rift Crystal here that you can grab pawns, teaching you about that system a little bit. That's because this is the same place, this is the same path he traveled, as one might expect. Geosaurian are weak to ice, just like basic Saurian are, and like salamanders are. Now, Saurian sages, or lizardman sages, are more resistant to damage. Now, down here you can find a golden belt, which seems to be fairly popular with some people as a piece of equipment. It also provides you a large strength boost that's very... it provides the same amount of a strength boost as the trophy. Each piece of the trophy set give a magic boost. The reason that the numbers are different there, the plus and minus are different there, is because augments. I have both magic up augments equipped, but I only have one strength increasing augment. But as I was saying, lizardman sages are actually quite resistant to magic, so you more want to stick to physical damage with them as opposed to trying any particular element. Now, you will need levitate or double jump to get over here. Preferably levitate, as it can be a bit tricky to get a running start. As you can see, there's a chest right over there. Now, I forget what all this can contain, but the sultry pareo is one thing. Those that say, well, I can go ahead and show you. It's a female-only armor piece. They can be worn by any class. It actually works in combination with the two corsets very well for clothing. Well, these might be something you like as well. Can be worn by everyone except for mages and sorcerers. One dark glove and one sort of bangle looking thing. Bracer. And there's actually more things to find on over here. The Lancer's sword is a very... it's a long sword for warriors. And there's some liquid venom here, and as you levitate or very carefully double jump from pillar to pillar, you can grab some gold. I don't think there's anything of note here, or here, yes. I will go splat now. And now we can proceed. You recall this next room was filled with hobgoblins and snow harpies when Savan went through, but now you're going to meet hellhounds and more succubi. Might be good to grab this as an example, if I can. So hellhounds are the strongest wolfkin in the entire game, barring a Garm, although a Garm's kind of a special exception. They work in a team really well. They're very hardy, they do a lot of damage. And what I'm about to show you, unlike wolves, warg, and dire wolves, is they are not weak to fire, they're immune. And if you set them on fire, they get stronger. They are, however, weak to ice, or holy. Succubi, if they snatch onto you, can inflict curse. Which lower your stats. Now, if you can hit them with a flask of water, which I don't think anyone has, no. Ah, bollocks. That's my mistake. I could have just done this, I guess, explosive volley. Oh well, perhaps I'll be able to show you in the post game, because hellhounds are all over the place in the post game. Lots of good treasure chests here. The chests in this temple will actually contain some loot, but normally you would have to go to the post game dungeon, the post game version of the Everfall, to find. We're not getting super lucky here though. That's a very strong short bow, if you're a strider or assassin. Although by this point, you might already even have it, or something better. Now, in here when Savon came through was a Chimera, but we are faced with a Gore Chimera. So again, they kept the enemy type relatively similar. Reminder that he is weak to ice. The Gore casts even stronger magic and now has a healing spell. The snake tail actually regenerates. Sorry if you chop it off, it can grow back if you take too long. Now we step on these to open the big gate to go to the dragon himself. Couple of headgear. If you happen to like the look of the iron headgear for yellow vocations, here is an upgraded version that sort of matches the red leather armor set, as well as certain other advanced reddish brown tinged yellow armors. We can't need you here, love. Now you showed that. You sure showed that box. Alright, there we go. Some money. This one often contains a warrior now. I think it's a warrior now. Yeah. Incidentally, if you're interested in Savon's cave, it's a guaranteed drop over here. I'll show you in just a second. It's a Titan 1 version of the alchemical cloak, which you may recall Katarina wearing at the very beginning of this playthrough. That red cape. Sorry, it's a faded to the point it's almost a pale pink. And it provides a variety of really nice resistances, status resistances. So it combined with an ancient circlet, both fully upgraded, right here. It's a guaranteed drop. Make sure to pick it up if it strikes your fancy. I quite like the cave. I think it's It's very aesthetically pleasing in general, but those resistances are really lovely as well when it's upgraded. And now we face the dragon as soon as we go in there. This is a really incredible fight, so I highly recommend, if you're playing through for the first time, to not do what we did and go to Bitter Black Isle and over level, so you can really feel the struggle with it. But even with that, with the cutscenes interspersed in the action set pieces, they really do a good job giving you a very climactic, exhilarating battle. You kind of get a preview to, or a taste of the kind of shenanigans that go on in this fight if the Griffin actually escapes in Griffin's Bane and you can go to Blue Moon Tower to fight it. Unfortunately, we botched that, as you're well aware, but luckily that can't happen here. Curious. Okay, it shows Eleanor. That's fine. Truth be told, if you do have quests, answer yes to the question. Otherwise, well, if you choose no and you sacrifice your beloved, you will get an alternate ending, which is probably, I'm pretty sure there is an achievement for it. There's an achievement for various endings depending on the choices you make in these final fights, or even if you lose a fight. Not this fight, but a later fight. So we're being chased through a narrow hallway. Do watch out for okay, we're not melting him that badly. But of course, we then have... So, right here, hide behind these pillars when he starts breathing fire, or something very bad's going to happen to you. Now, there's a little loop here where this happens and he'll breathe fire, unless you do enough damage to it. And then, about the second or third time he rams against that gate, he bursts through into the room. There he goes. So do get out of the way for that. He will actually do a number on you if you're not careful. And he breaks through. He flies away. Gagelina, what were you doing, man? Trying to climb on him. Off he goes. Now we pursue up this way. Very cinematic lighting. It auto saves for you, which is very good. Now we have to run across a very dangerous bridge. But he's not just going to let us go that easily. So he sets it to collapsing. Very much fights like an intelligent dragon would. A collapsing bridge. Does strafing runs. Generally, if you stick to the sides, you'll be alright though. As you can see, even at a higher level, he will do a lot of damage to you. So right there, you want to stick to the left. Oh, did they already loot that chest? I'm surprised the mages are trying to heal me. If you're a ranged class, you can actually cheese him a bit. In situations like this, where he's up there on the boulder, and he's yapping at you, you can shoot him and he'll get all nettled and fly away. You heard his feelings a wee bit there. Made him pout. Now, yet again, old rickety broken stone bridge. Now this one plays out just a bit differently. Oh, interesting. We must have got here too quickly. So normally he'll just land on the bloody bridge and you have to run between his legs into here. Yeah, it's all supposed to fall. We just, yeah, we got here a bit too quickly. So, you're not super pressed for time, but you do have to make haste a wee bit. Now once you get to the top of this tower, there will be some ballista lined up against the edge, and you just need to fire in his general direction to initiate a cutscene. However, before that, there are 2 treasure chests that you can loot up here that have guaranteed loot that you might take a shine to. Champion's Bangles and Dragon Band. Dragon Band is not a bad piece of headwear. Gives you some nice strength and magic up. It doesn't cover your face that badly. And once fully upgraded, it's certainly not a bad piece of equipment. And then these Champion Bangles add just a wee bit of strength to you. And they're nice gladiator-looking armbands, if you like that. Something like Heracles would wear. And just hop up here, find him, shoot, initiate cutscene. Now we have a climbing minigame. The idea is to get to the glowing spot on his back and give him a good jab. Pay attention to what he's doing though, because if he tries to shake you off, you need to shake the control stick to hang on. Otherwise you'll slide down and now you'll be further away. Now, if you'll pay attention to what the dragon has been saying to you after choosing to actually fight him, he's very much encouraging you to keep going. Wonder why that is. There we go. Almost there. Now, we have one last quick time event, if you will, to shake the stick. So we don't get gobbled out. And now, we land in the final battle arena. Now he can cast spells, he can do a stronger version of the attacks the drakes use. He very much fights like a drake, with a side of worm with the spell casting. And some wyvern flying. He's like a hybrid of all three of the lesser dragonkin, as one might expect. So he will often perch up here and blast in explosive fireballs in volleys of 3 at a time, targeting one person at a time. They're not particularly difficult to dodge if you're paying attention. Of course, if you have an archer or even a mage, you can quite easily reach him from there. Some sort of magic user. Wow, now when he's flying, like this, you can shoot him down with these ballista. Or just a well-timed shot to his heart as he goes for a strafing run on you. You do have to be very careful. He is very strong and he does a lot of damage. There he goes. So now he's coming in for a strafing run. Oh, anticlimactic. He dodged the explosive bolt. Of course, you have to strike him directly in the heart to actually finish him. Now there are quite a few cutscenes, followed by credits and more cutscenes, all of which are skippable, of course. Various things happen, but one thing you will notice is you get your heart back. Not only that, but so does the Dragon Forged and the Duke, which means their age now catches up to them. The Dragon Forged, being so as ancient as he is, immediately turns to ash, and the Duke turns into a very, very, very frail old man. Now, as you will see here, we get a reward for doing it on hard mode. We get an abyssal outfit, which is a little undershirt that matches an armor set that we can acquire fighting the online version of the Ur-Dragon. The Ur-Dragon is basically a zombie version of the dragon we just fought. I don't think it's the same dragon, but it's a zombie variant of that type of dragon. And you get rewarded dragon weapons, which are about the 3rd or 4th best pure stat non-enchanted versions of each weapon type. So you get one for each weapon that you were actually equipped with when you fought and killed the dragon. And if any piece of your equipment that you have equipped wasn't already Dragon Forged, they were guaranteed to be Dragon Forged after defeating him. So your beloved will now live with you now, as well as Celine. So if your beloved is Celine, only Celine will be here. If you talk to your beloved, they basically congratulate you, glad you're okay, you slept a while, and they kind of follow you around, at least till the first time you exit Cassidy. Now, what has happened to the sky? Why is everything so bloody ominous? Well, it turns out killing the dragon didn't really save the world so much as it moved it into the next step of this particular cycle. So now we need to go ask the Duke what the hell's going on, presumably. Or that's our intent. So the first thing that happened a giant sinkhole opened in Grand Soro. If you check the map, a third of the city is now a big hole. This includes where the inn used to be, so that's why when I mentioned that the inn was going to move, that's why it moved, because there is no inn anymore. And this hole leads now into the new version of the Everfall, which is the post-game dungeon. However, it wasn't just Grand Soren that changed, because a lot of very powerful monsters flooded in from this giant hole. So now, even outside Khazardus, and on the road, and then through Moonsbit's Pass, and then especially the field outside, there are a lot of new enemies. Then down here there's a cockatrice, where before you would have found a griffin. In Conqueror's Sanctuary there's no longer those two cyclopes, but something else. The drake can still be up here, but there's now a special drake down here who has different dialogue than this drake does. There's a worm in the Water God's altar, so it could theoretically, if you were avoiding Bitter Black Isle, this would be your first opportunity to fight a worm. There's a wyvern up here in Blue Moon Tower, and those are special variants as well. All three of these new dragonkin that have popped up in these places have very interesting dialogue that imply they're very similar to you, or at least they used to be, which is great foreshadowing for how the story actually ends up from here and the things we learn. However, there are also a regular wyvern here, at least until you go here and get the first cutscene. Then I think he stops appearing. There could be a drake over here. And there's also a wyvern this one's a bit glitchy, unfortunately, where he's bad to just kind of hover and act like he wants to attack you, and then just stay flying out of reach forever. And sometimes he'll even fly over the sea and die, and you'll get his experience. It's pretty amusing. He's kind of like the griffins, like that. There is a new foe in the Frontier Caverns now. If you'll recall, we fought an armored Cyclops in there before. Well, now there's a new foe, an old familiar face that I may or may not have mentioned earlier in the stream at the beginning. And last but not least, there is a cockatrice in Soulflare Canyon, which, according to a notice board quest, seems to be the one that escaped earlier in the main story. Now, as far as I can remember, or as far as I've discovered, or at least can think of right off, those are the only changes to the map. So, I'm going to attempt to actually show them all to you before ending the stream. And then we will actually go through the Everfall after this. Also, Madeline has returned, which is good. So she'll just be here in the end. In fact, technically, I think they've set her up a shop somewhere nearby here. So her inventory can be fully expanded, and you can look at all the nice stuff in there. She now has all of the pre-Bitter Black Isle enchanted daggers, except for Heaven's Keys, which is an Ur-Dragon weapon. Kunai is actually something you can find in the gathering pile off Leaper's Ledge in Soulflare Canyon. It's just fairly rare. they're dark enchanted. They're one of the rare dark enchanted weapons in the game. Dark enchantment, I'm not sure if I've explained before, dark element spells and enchantment have a chance of doing a critical attack where they just do an insane amount of damage. So they can be a fun thing to tinker around with. Unfortunately, so many enemies in the game are resistant to dark or even immune to it, so it's not something I personally used very much, but it's something to tinker around with. Oh, here's the laurel circlet. There's headwear, sultry cow to go with it, or if you like yellow. As you can see, she's got fully expanded inventory. She even has a crimson robe now. She carries the vast majority of the female-only armor at this point if you've given her the gold idol. Here are the new type of over-knee boots. These are the strongest variant of them. So there's just the regular alchemical cloak. And now she contains bob nails. These are handy if you want to focus on, so put them on your ranger, your warrior, or something like that, and you want to be able to stun lock enemies by knocking them down. This really boosts your knockdown ability, and you slap a couple of those on, and maybe even a... Wait, what was I buying? Oh. And you'll be crowd controlling the tire out of things. Also, in your inventory, you have the God's Bane. Now, this is a very handy little implement that allows you to kill yourself. Now, you may wonder, well, wait, why would I want to do that? Well, my friend, that's because you can save when there's a chest that has a piece of equipment you really like. You can save in front of it, open it if it doesn't have what you want, end yourself, reload the save. Now the chest can have something different in it. So basically you just keep reloading over and over until the chest has what you want in it. That's how we farm the Everfall. Because a lot of the chests in there have a rare drop that's anywhere from 2 to 4%, maybe 2 to 5% chance of having, specifically for pieces of armor, so really nice looking armor sets and the like. And that's how we farmed the Everfall back in the day. Of course, if you have access to a God's Bane, you can also gift this to your mates. So you can gift it to somebody that's just starting on a new game, and they can even use it to farm chests before they even beat the dragon. It's one of those things that can go really quickly and take an eternity. Now, let's actually get on the road to Grand Sora. So yes, the sky is going to permanently be like this now in the first game. It's definitely very ominous and atmospheric, and you really know that, oh no, the world is pretty screwed up at the moment. We need to fix this. At nighttime, it gets even more ominous because the sky, well, I guess I'll wait and let you see for yourself. Down here on the beach, there's now a surprise. A Gore Chimera. Now, we're not going to kill it yet, because once we get to Grand Soren, there will be a notice board quest to kill the bugger. And I don't want to wait for him to respawn. Actually, come to think of it, now don't hold me to this, because it's been a long time since I've actually checked. But I think, so there's still a normal Chimera here and here, but I think this one may be replaced with the Gore Chimera as well. I have a vague recollection of that, but it's been so long. I rarely stay in post game very long. I'll be... Oh, no. I'm just going to go in here, because we didn't want to kill it yet. Although I guess it would be an opportunity to check. I will check we'll check later. We'll go ahead and let her heal us. So besides the very rude Gore Chimera, who I actually did not realize would wander all the way up here, the regular goblins have been replaced by a much stronger variant than even hobgoblins called Grim Goblins, who look very much like the Greater Goblins in Bitter Black Isle. The Greater Goblins are stronger than these though, but they otherwise fight the same, with the exception of Greater Goblins also having Goblin Shamans, which are strong spellcasters. You would be surprised at how much damage these buggers can do, as you can see. They also have a moderate amount of stagger resist, so normally my daggers probably would have staggered them, but before he hit me, but it wasn't the case this time. Alright. And there may be a couple more in the woods over there. They typically carry torch. Yeah, you can see the torch. They typically carry torches even now when it's daytime. And yes, this is just bright and bushy daytime. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed daytime. In here, nothing really changes. They haven't repaired anything for some bloody reason. But put to the test. If you accept this, speak to him, you can have a little duel, and he rewards you a golden version of his greatsword, which I can't actually show you. His greatsword's actually... Wait, that's not the greatsword. That's not his greatsword. Wonder why he has just a regular steel greatsword. So his normal greatsword is Griffic Victory. In fact, if you butter him up and get his affection high enough, you will get an escort quest to take him to the Shadow Fort. Also, it just occurred to me we're not getting double experience. I forgot to do this. Silly me. Now, go ahead and deposit that big old heavy weapon. Mercy, that's a lot. It's actually a very lovely looking greatsword. It's got a really elegant design to it. Now, he actually has something new in the post game. Where is it? Is it here? Yeah. So he had this regularly, which allows you to a one-time character edit for your Arisen and your Pawn. And this was available as soon as you cut the Hydra's head off and took it to Grand Sword. But this allows you to do it anytime you want, or as many times as you want on the main menu after you get this. Of course, we don't need it because I've already spent way too much bloody time editing these characters. But it's there if you want it. Of course, remember, every time you loop or start a new game plus, you also get a chance to re-edit your characters. Now let's hit the road. So here on Manamiya Trail, we will soon come across... what's that? Now, unfortunately, since we've been to Bitter Black Isle, these have been spoiled a bit. These giant undead, or large undead. Because we saw them in the skeleton key rune. As well as right before fighting the cursed bitch, the Dark Bishop. And there are also succubi around. But they're not alone. These bandits up here have been replaced by something much, much worse. Hellhounds. There we go. As you can see, that quite literally fired him up. And they, unlike other wolfkin, have ranged attacks. Very explosive fireballs. And they will snipe you like it's going out of style. As you can see, all that did was strengthen him. The blunt force, of course, did damage to him. But oh dear. If these buggers knock you down and drag you away to let everyone cheer on you, you really feel it. So they're going to be chock-a-block. There is going to be chock-a-block full of them. And harpies and large undead. Until we actually get to the Moonspit Pass itself. It's a lovely level. Now there are large undead scattered all across through these woods. As you can see. But we're trying not to take an eternity here. Even more of them here. More hellhounds, again taking the place of the bandits. The hellhound actually set the large undead on fire, even though they're technically in the same side. Now here comes the succubi. Well, yeah, there she is. Now, they can blind you, and of course when they grab you, they can curse you with their grapple. Their singing can blind you. That's no fun. I think I have decent blindness resist though. 40%. I generally am willing to compromise the debilitation and go full aesthetic on my character, whereas I try to do a hybrid of a good mix of both for the pawns, because other people will use the pawn. So I wanted to at least be fairly self-sufficient. Luckily we've been able to come up with quite a few really nice looks that do both. I have really good defenses, really good resistances, and it looks really nice over the years. Now, alright, I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity to, since we're here, to show you the worm here. There are still regular goblins here, as opposed to grim goblins. Not really sure why, but never that. Speed bump. Up here behind the waterfall, of course, if you recall where the water god's altar is. Do remember that everything will have respawned. Normally, the lizardmen and those two skeleton magi. Of course. There's another lizardman over there. Alright, don't do that. I'm so used to having cutting wind and the dash attack for daggers. I'd have to get used to having immolation instead. And up here, you can already see him in the mist. A worm. A nice frosty dragon that rapidly casts spells. Now he calls you a fellow countryman, which implies he is also from Gransys. Or at least that's the way everyone's taking it. So he was quite similar to you and Sylvan and the Duke and the Dragon Forged, even from the same place. Now, when you're fighting worms, hearts on the stomach, which I feel is one of the most, probably the easiest one as a melee to actually hit. Purely because on the chest, at least when you're the size that the drake, or the fire drake are, you get caught up in their front floors pretty easily and hit that instead of the actual chest. That helps when they're a bit bigger, like the actual dragon, the Ur-dragon. Well, the Ur-dragon's different as well. Or like the Cursed dragon, just being taller, helps you be able to better reach. But the worm, with it being on its heart being on its stomach, makes it quite easy to reach. I suppose we could just do this. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump, but it saves a little bit of time. Yeah. I should have done this directly after we killed the worm. So, with worms, weak to fire, they rapidly cast spells, so they can be silenced. Very handy thing to do against any powerful spellcaster, as one might expect. So, going to be getting dark soon. So, now the path have GR Lizardman in it. Remember, weak to ice. The only... Now what have we up here? This harpy nest is replaced by good old Stony Boy. Now, this is just a regular garland, so we've got that going for us, which is nice. Alright. Okay. This bug is already licked. I just have to... Wait, where's the other one? Okay, it was still on the head. Easy as. Now there will be more Geosaurians along the path here. But that's about it for new stuff on Moonsmith Pass. Well, not quite actually. So if you'll recall, there's a mountain cabin up here where all the boulders are. Those are now replaced by a skeleton, by either bandits or, well, by skeleton lords. Let's go ahead and trigger that to roll and go up here and investigate. Yes, 2 of the buggers. Dragon's Pit. Alright, so now we can pretty well just mosey on towards Grand Soren, where we should be ambushed by a wyvern. Also, while there are more skeletons, skeleton knight, magi, skeleton lords, various skelly enemies, that unholy wall there, trying to block damage for his allies. Very much a mystic knight. Notice how the sky is starting to turn red. At night, the sky becomes black and red and stormy. It's very ominous, but it doesn't really get that much darker than it is in daytime in Burst game. Now there are a lot of flying enemies. There's succubi, there are a couple of gargoyles out here, all of which you can see flying around. There's a wyvern. It's actually pretty amusing. From a distance, they can all look very similar, but then you get a little closer, and then you hear the wing beats, and then it's hard. You're a dragony boy, aren't you? It's unfortunate that wyverns, like griffins, can be a bit... There he is, he's noticed us. Now, unfortunately, we have to wait for him to slowly descend and actually attack. But anyway, over here. Okay, he's close enough now. So, we want to let him... Oh, he's been knocked down. Well, that's good. Always. Remember that his heart's on his back, which is also a relatively easy spot to get to if you're a climber. Just a reminder that you can still break their parts as they're decomposing for extra drops. Not sure if that's intentional, because as far as I know, it's only Dragonkin that you can do that to. Now, right here, there are two gargoyle right there. Where did he go? Quest should have completed if I killed him. Alright, there he is. There we go. Easy as. Bastard wing. Rare drop is the petrificator. So, over here in this shack where bandits used to be, and you see a dark and stormy red night, are now hellhounds. And there are more over there. Typically. Yeah. That's embarrassing. And sometimes over here, a little further up, you can be attacked by a drake. I don't see him right now, but it's very misty. It's a very misty night, so yes, he should be around if he was. Okay, looks like he's a no-show. Let's go ahead and end it in the ground sword. Curious. Yes, we'll do this. So, as you can see, the end is now here. There's the cockatrice. More Geosaurian. 30 direwolves. There's still direwolves up north. 7 grim goblins. A lich. A wyvern. Now, we have a bunch of stuff to drop on. Probably. Alright, I was mistaken. We actually have a slight story quest of this, just to basically go visit the Duke. However, that takes us into a cutscene that takes us into the other 4. So, we will hold off on doing that for the moment. Now here, if you'll recall, with Noonflower, priceless artifacts, piece of Glansoran rubble, 30 tufts of hair, and 3 carroted carvings. And if you were curious, the black cat's now here. He's just standing right there. And down there is where you can go to the Everfall. You can also just go through the Pawn Guild, of course, but generally you leap in. So the way the dungeon's structured is, it's sort of broken up in. There are 16 rooms, the entrance of which are certain broken ledges that are scattered all around the radius of this hole at different depths. So basically, you need to go to the wiki and pull up the map to figure out which route, which chambers you want to go in that have the equipment you want to farm for, or enemies you want to fight, or what have you. And then try very hard to stick to that side of the hole so you can reliably grab onto the ledge and actually get in said chamber. Admittedly, it can be a bit tricky, but it can be done. So, the Caxton, of course, has an upgraded inventory. He carries a great deal of stuff. Just mercy, he's got a lot of stuff. As you can see, he's got the Malorian gear now. He actually sells the champion's bangles if you miss the treasure chest while fighting the dragon. However, I'm pretty sure you might be able to find other dragon bands in the Everfall, but that one's a guaranteed one, so why force yourself to farm if you don't have to? Still not a fan of these. Really dislike them. Cross Adventurer's Clerk. Holdens. So if anything strikes your fancy there, go ahead and have a crack at it. Now, back to Khazardus, because now that we're here in Grand Soren, it should have triggered the addition of new notice board quests. Now normally they spawn, I feel like they used to spawn just from the beginning as you load in post game. If not, we will have to go ahead and meet the Duke anyway. Let's see. Yes. A challenge in Frontier Caverns. Wait. One of these quests should be... This is hard. Alright. We could turn in some of this stuff. So, 30 tufts of hair. Pretty sure I have a lot of hair. They're these little the way they look are these little baggies. Also need to keep an eye out for a noon flower. I specifically picked one up, or suggested we pick one up earlier. Yeah, there we go. Need 30 of these. There's a noon flower. And 3 cursed carvings. Now, one thing we also needed was priceless artifacts. I may have a bad habit of giving my pawns all my pickaxes and letting them mine. Oh, it's just a bit too much. Now, Grand Sword and Rubble. This we can hold off on for the moment just because it's bloody heavy. And we need 2 more of them anyway. So, if you recall, we grabbed them from... Very strange. We're going to go back to Glansoran now. One of these notice board quests is supposed to be to kill a Gore Chimera. I'm not quite certain why we're not getting it, but... it's wanting to be stubborn for some reason. Oh well. We'll tame these in and then we'll go ahead and meet the Duke. Okay, so what happens is we meet the Duke. He's an old man, thinks we took the he's also insane. I mean, he did attempt to choke his wife to death. And he immediately he assumes we took the same coward bargain that he did to usurp his rule. So he tries to kill you, you throw him out a bloody window, then he sicks the guards on you. So now you have to try to avoid the guards, or they will harass you. So, Grand Sword and Rubble. You can actually find it lying in random places. I was pretty sure there was a piece over there. I'm certain there's a piece of Grand Sword and Rubble in one of these bushes. But anyway, the guards ended up chasing you, and these were your allies, so presumably your character doesn't want to kill them, even though you can quite easily. In fact, that's a cheap way to farm for discipline points, to level up power level your vocations, if there's still some you haven't already maxed out, is to go up to the Duke's place and let your pawn get up on the wall where the guards can't reach, and let your pawns kill them and just go AFK for a while. But anyway, long story short, they corner you and you end up jumping in the hole, or falling in the hole rather, due to some enemies popping out and surprising you. Where's that? Oh, there it is. It's a ladder. So the reason we're going up here is we need to get on the roofs, because I know for a fact one of this places where the Grand Sword and Rubble spawns. But we need to get up on the roofs, which, unfortunately, the way the sinkhole opened up kind of took away our easy path to them. However, now there we go. And down here is a piece of Grand Sword and Rubble. And here's another piece. So, if you were clever, and here's the one I was talking about, this one right here. So now we have one extra even. So we can go and turn those buggers in as well. Let's try to find us a nice place to drop down. If I hadn't have double jumped. Yeah, right here, son. So, boom, there's 4 slices of rubble right there. Still was pretty sure there was one in a bush somewhere. But yeah, if you were clever, like we suggested, and went ahead and bought the 8 pieces that Reynard has on him, then you're good to go already. But yeah, so you fall in the hole, and in this very initial entrance to the Everfall, no matter which chamber you go in, it will be a one-time only chamber where you fight the evil eye that we met, that we were attacked by on our first trip in the Everfall in the main game. There we go. And that should be all our delivery quests. Well, all our delivery side quests. The final main quest to go into the final battle of the first game is sort of a delivery quest to gain access, or rather earn the right to do said fight. But it's not a tedious one, really. You can actually complete it by doing one chamber. Just kill the air dragon one time, and you've already done it. So we'll go ahead and speak with the Duke. And that will drop us off into the Everfall at the end of a couple of cutscenes. And then I'll go show you the eradication site, the new Drake and Conqueror's Arena. We'll go fight our surprise opponent in the Frontier Caverns. Then we'll go kill the Wyvern in Blue Moon Tower. And perhaps investigate Soulflayer Canyon. And then we'll call it a stream before diving into the Everfall proper next stream. That was the wrong one. Wrong door. It's actually... wait. I got carried away and just ran too far. It's actually here. The Duke Salah. Incidentally, tufts of hair. So, yeah, he's very old, very slart. Go ahead and get rid of his health. You'll kick into another cutscene where the guards get after you. You toss him out a bloody window. It's hilarious. He should have had life alert. Now we run because the guards are trying to foolishly attack us after we just killed a bloody dragon. Now this guy, this will annoy you because he acted like your best friend as you did quests for him and shit in the main game. And now he's like, I always knew you were a snake. That's not what you were saying before, mate. So you will kind of retroactively hate him now. So that's fun. But to get kick-started, there we go, and now we'll be falling. And you can just fall for an eternity. If you don't grab anything, you will loot, and you will come from the sky and do it all again. See, as you can see, we've passed all of the chambers, and now we're way up in the sky again. So, no matter which one we latch onto, and unfortunately, the PC version here is I'm not sure why, but the camera can get kind of shaky, so do be careful about that. Now, if you'll recall, this is the Strider pawn that helps Savant. If in the sort of demo that you do, the little prologue story you play through as Savant when you start a new game, and she wants you to bring her 20 wake stones to be qualified for the final quest. Now, this is the way out. Sorry, it's actually a mistake that we jumped on this one. If we would have landed on any other place, so you press your grab button to try to grab onto a ledge, or you can just splat on the buggers. So this should be Chamber of Confusion. I wonder if we glitched it out by accident. No, this is right. Should be. So here is the helmet for the Grizzly armor set. If you're a red class, you might like it. If you like the more barbarian looks. Fairy stone to get out if you don't have the eternal one. And now we should have our evil eye. Or the bugger's knocked in. Feel bad. So normally he can have a barrier around him and he's immune to all damage. Now, all of the enemies here will drop wake stone like candy, so it will not take you very long at all to get to the 20 you need to do the final fight as you like. So if you just want to blitz through, you can do it pretty easily. Now, one of the pawn knowledge for fighting an evil eye says that powerful archmagics, so the kind cast by a sorcerer, not a mage but a sorcerer, can break its barrier. However, as far as anyone can tell, what that really means is execute, which is normally an instant death spell, but with the evil eye it just seems to like pop his barrier. I've actually not tested it myself. This is purely going from what other people have said and notes on the wiki. So it's something I should check in the future. I don't particularly care for playing for a sorcerer, and it's a waste of a spell on a pawn. So that's all that this is. This is just a test room to show you basically how this first game Everfall works. You grab onto a ledge, you go into the room, you fight the bosses, you open some chests. Easy as. So even random loots can drop wakestone shards. Just like that, we already have 4 of the bloody things. Now, the Ur Dragon, online or offline, doesn't matter. If you kill the Ur Dragon, who's in Chamber 11, I think it is, the Chamber of Lament is what it's called. You can't really... It looks slightly different than the other chambers because it's like a little bridge that juts out slightly into the big hole that we jumped in. So if you kill him one time, he automatically drops you 20 of the bloody things, the wake stones. So theoretically, you could just go kill the air dragon one time. But we're not going to do that this go around. Or this stream, rather. So what you can actually do is turn right around and go into whichever chamber it is you've landed on. However, just to make it easier to keep track of, I'm going to attempt to go through each chamber next stream in their numbered order, or the order they appear in the hole, just so it's easier to keep track of. I want to do each of them once, just to show them all to you. As for loot and stuff, well, I've pretty much already gathered Everfall loot that I'm interested in. Now, luckily, quite a bit of the more popular Everfall loots are available in Bitter Black Isle as well, at much higher drop rates, such as the Divine Seer card Savon wears. Like, the only piece of Savon's kit, besides like the Tattered Mantle, but I think you can find the Tattered Mantle there. Either way, you can guarantee get it before fighting the dragon. Or anytime, just let the place respawn after 7 in-game days and you can go get another copy in the same spot. The only piece of his kit that you can't find in Bitter Black Isle are the boots. So, for Savon's Shadow Greaves, you actually do have to go to the Everfall to get them. It's the only way to get them, as far as I know. Unless a mate just sends you a copy. Now, to get out, you can just ferry Stern out. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll go down to Bloodwater Beach. Ah, blast. Actually, we were wanting to... Whatever, we'll do this first. And then we'll go to Cassius. So, it's daylight now. As I said before, in Conqueror's Sanctuary, there's no longer the 2 Cyclopes. Now, there is instead one of these confused drakes, or dragonkin. Also a reminder that the Mama's Wear can be gathered right here, although we're getting very unlucky with it. And the Noon Flower, if you need it, is up there. Now this poor lad's just sitting here confused. Reminder with Ninefold Bolt and the like that the best way to do drakes is to shotgun them, just because otherwise his head and his body and his arms are going to block the rest of the bolts, or most of the bolts, as opposed to them actually reaching the heart. Now, if you recall, over here in the field, there should be a cockatrice. As a reminder, there's a golem over there in the Tomb of the Unknown Traveler, but I've shown that before, so we will allow him to live. We'll allow him to just lie dormant. There's still hobgoblins around, of course. Now, mind you, this place is quite expansive. There we go. You can already see the bugger. Unfortunately, this isn't a very good place for Ricochet hunting. but we make do. So that can blind. That's his blinding roar. He can now his sack's swelling up. So if we could hit that and do enough damage and pop it, we could have collapsed him on the ground. Remember, that's his petrifying breath, so do be careful. Easy as. Now, Blue Moon Tower. I went too bloody far. There we go. I got a little happy with my button presses there. Well, now you will get to see the more typical monster layout of this place. This is how the place will. This is how it'll be populated with when the Griffin's here, as opposed to the bandits that are here with Salamet. Specifically, lots of skeleton knights, skeleton magi up there to snipe you as you try to climb, and snow harpies trying to pick you off and drop you into holes. So it's still pretty easy. Do watch out for this blurb though. He will want to immediately smack you one. This door will still be locked for us, but it's a shame. This one's open. This can be a bit tricky if you don't have any ranged attacks. As they will be sniping you as you try to climb. Then snow harpies. And specifically, there are a couple casters doing a lot of lightning bolts up there. Now, meet another wyvern, so we're going to attempt to get him going really quickly. Knocking him on over. Thank you, Blessed Immolation. Now, I don't think I've actually mentioned it, but Immolation actually has a third tier to it with particular rings. However, it doesn't increase the damage that it does per se. It just means that you're on fire longer. So instead of a minute, you're on fire for a minute and a half. It does the same tick damage. So, as you can see though, generally, all you need is the regular. Because if you're on there with 60 seconds. Speaking of, I'm actually probably going to switch my stability augment for adhesion, so I can actually climb better and not be shaken off so easily. So there is the wyvern that is also, I'll just go ahead and say it, a former arisen. All three of those were. Well, and they seem to be confused, so they must be freshly turned. One thing you learn in Bitter Black Isle is that basically a lot of the monsters turns out to be former risen that died and became monsters, or were just corrupted and turned into monsters in like Diamond's case. Yeah, there's no harpies up here. I'm shocked they didn't attack us. They're supposed to while we're trying to fight the wyvern. But they were cowards, a lot of them. Now, up here. Before I actually go into Soulflare Canyon, I will check and see if that chimera is still a chimera or if it's a gore chimera. Because that's bugging me now. If you'll notice, also, after meeting the Duke, or rather after beating the dragon, the guardsmen that were here that would let us rest and such are now gone from all these little camps, which is a bit unfortunate, but nothing we can really do. So he has new stuff as well. Generally fairly similar stuff to Caxton, except this one he carries Chimeric armor as well. I don't think Caxton carries that. Here's the Cyclops Veil, which is I think there's actually a better version of it called the Malorian Cyclops Veil. But that may be a Bitter Black Isle thing. See, the chimeric armor is better than the Griffic armor, slightly, but even heavier. Malorian plate, though, is much lighter and generally stouter, and I think it just looks a lot better, but I suppose I could be actually previewing some of this. There's the chimeric plate. Here is the chimeric helmet. There are the chimeric gauntlets. Now those look alright. And the Sabatons. Of course, as usual, I think the Malorian gear looks much better. He also starts selling the Griffic cloak. He also carries the Harpy cloak and the pauldrons. I'm pretty sure he's the one, if you max out his affinity, he will start selling the Royal Cerecoat, which is the red version of the Grand Cerecoat. It's the second outfit that Katarina was wearing on this playthrough. So, we're just going to scoot on down here for a moment. Also, silly me, forgot to do the challenge quest in Frontier Caverns. Oh well, we'll do that in a moment. We'll end with that, I guess. So, let's see, once and for all, if you're still a regular Chimera or a Gore Chimera. I can't tell from what little bit of the snake I saw there. The snake is a different color for the Gore Chimera, it's more of a red. Okay, you are a Gore Chimera. Sorry, I wasn't insane. Good. He's just so weak to ice, it's hilarious. Why are you girls sleeping on the job? Yeah, I guess I shared that skelly. Now, the interesting thing about harpy and harpy type critters are they often follow the same or very similar flight path as their mates. So if you can ever line up a shot and they happen to be all circling together, you can kind of hold them that position and just shoot them in a row. So that's fun. So let's see. A lich, that of course will be in the Everfall. Dire wolves. I could just do that off stream, I guess. There's no. You've seen me already complete this. This is just a copy of an earlier quest, pretty much, with a different reward. But there was an early quest to kill 30 direwolves. Maybe that one was 10 direwolves. Or 20. 10 seems too few. I don't know. Maybe we'll do. You might take a couple trips though. Depends on how many want to spawn for us up there. Oh, Liquid Vim. Liquid Vim are really nice. You can actually make really good use of them as an assassin, because the assassin has a spell called Invisibility, which presumably is a mistranslation, and what they really meant was invincibility, because you're immune to damage during the duration of the skill, but you constantly rapidly drain stamina. Well, it's supposed to be rapidly drain stamina, but if you have a good bit of stamina and you have like proficiency, which lowers the rate to use stamina with physical attacks or physical skills, then you can last quite a while. But it's all irrelevant because Liquid Vim means you don't drain any stamina until the medicine wears off. That's odd, I thought there were 3. So basically you can cheese a bunch of things by climbing on them and 100 or 1,000 kissing them to death. There's a nice longbow. Oh, there was another one. He just got lost. I'll take your money. Alright. We want to go to over here, because this is closer to... Actually, no, the other way would have been closer to Leaper's Ledge. I didn't think the gargoyles here anymore, but we can check. It doesn't seem to be. This chest, of course, always contains Steel Beak, which is a fairly stout mace, honestly. If you're a Mystic Knight, and you're not somebody that's just really likes swords like I am. What? Did I kill 2 in one shot? We take those. So, nothing new over there. Some hobgoblins, a couple more phantasms. 3 sulfur lizardmen. But down here, this is the bugger that escaped in the main story. This is the weapon pile that can have kunai. I was hoping he would actually have it so I could show you, but no. Now, we're going to take a quick detour to Kazadis. Check the notice board again. And hopefully find the one for the Gore Chimera. Although I thought that was in Gran Soren. It's very odd. I've never had such difficulty getting that particular one to shore up before. This is bizarre. Maybe it's the encampment. But what we will do is go ahead and take out these Grim Goblins. We need 7 of them. Alright, there are hellhounds here as well. Easy as. This poor Gore Chimera down on the beach. He's just like, won't you somebody just come down here and kill me? But we have to preserve you so we can easily do this quest when we find the bloody thing. Yeah, I'm fairly certain that quest comes from Gran Soren. Yeah, there aren't any more. Yeah, so. Oh well, we'll check the notice boards at Gran Soren. Then we'll go finally to Frontier Caverns. And what is happening? Oh, we also have those to deal with. We could probably go to the Tainted Map and take them out right quick. We may do that as well. But first, also, something you should know, the Shadow Fort has been retaken by the enemies. So it basically looks quite similarly to how it looked during the Wormhead Hunt quest, where we liberated it. Also, as you can see, as mentioned before, this Drake is still here. What's happening? Easy as. We're going the wrong way. We were going towards the lake. So, just run past these hobgoblins. Actually, where are these hobgoblins? Why aren't they? They should still be here. Oh, maybe they're missing. That's odd. Oh, I guess they just hadn't loaded in. Or they were over here. Very odd. Maybe they roam a wee bit. Yeah, we just ran too fast and they hadn't loaded in, I guess, is what happened. It's kind of funny. It was almost set up like an ambush, but it was an accident. It was a complete accident. As I said, this place has been recaptured by the enemies, which means your stamina will now drain when you dash, as opposed to just constantly regenerating. To be mindful of that. The armored cyclops are back, the ballista are back, or the goblins and hobgoblins are back. But none of that matters, because we're only interested in the frontier cabins. Because we have an old friend to finally put down. This is a really good place for this attack. About he's left. Right, I'll say yeah. Oh, what? Nothing's there. But we go into the room, a little cutscene will start, that gate will open, and our new best friend comes out to play. Hydra, just like in the myth with Heracles, are weak to fire. In fact, if you set the stump on fire, it will be slower regenerating. Now, do watch out. It has a tail whip, and as you can see, his tail's very bloody long. And it does a great deal of damage. Now, if you can ever take all of the heads off at once, the body will be lying super limp and take extreme damage for a short period of time. Unfortunately, we timed it right when a couple of the heads were about to come back, so we didn't quite have a chance to take full advantage. Now, he can spray acid, he can grab you and try to swallow you. gobble you up. They can do that. Now, when they're doing that and they're adjusting their jar, one thing you can do, if you have an explosive barrel handy, I'm actually not certain where there's one. Sorry. You can toss this and he'll swallow it in his gullet, and if you have an archer or someone happens to be climbing on the neck and they hit it as they try to swallow the barrel, it'll blur up and instantly decapitate them and do a great deal of damage. However, that is also fun knowledge. That's funny. Accidentally blew him up and killed him. So yeah, do be sure to give that a try. It's quite fun. Strategic way to fight. There's actually a stronger variant of the Hydra in this game as well, which is kind of interesting considering neither of them are actually fightable until post game. Well, with the exception of Bitter Black Isle. Called an Arc Hydra, or an Arc or Arch Hydra, which are a snow white in color, and their regeneration ability is cranked up to where they even regen health. Not super quickly, mind, but they do regen health, so you can't really slack off on fighting them, or you're just going to make things that much worse for you. That's a very unlucky drop from that chest. But yeah, so that was finally big snaky boy. I suppose now we can go back to Kazadis because that was the quest from there. Presumably what's happened is I just have too many escort quests available, so it's keeping the Gore Chimera one from popping up for whatever reason. So, well, there's some, whatever the reason is. Yeah, there it is. So, that's what it is. There's a limit to how many quests these notice boards will have on them at once, and the Kazadis one, for whatever reason, seems to hold less of them than others. But it's no worries, we can finally complete this. And we know, or well, I know, that as far as I know, that's the last notice board quest from Kazadis. Involving like hunting something at least. That's not an escort quest. So let's go pop this pimple down here. And then what do we do? A lich. We'll do that next stream. I guess we'll go to Tainted Mountain and kill those. But yeah, we'll call it a stream soon. After a trip to the Tainted Mountain. Alright, mate. You can finally get some... Boy. Yes, the guard can even cast Execute. So do beware of that. What is happening with my shots? Or how dramatic. Ah, nice blood red sunset beginning again. Gorka mirror right there, and these seagulls still have the goal to just relax out here on this outcropping. Guess we shared them. And now we'll take a little trip to the Tainted Mountain. But should have respawned. There are actually a couple chests past. So, well, I'll show you. That have some really nice stuff. This place, luckily, you still regen your stamina, so it's considered a safe place. There's still guards here, because the Duke sort of abandons these people, so they haven't caught wind of the Duke wanting you dead now. Oh, it actually didn't. It actually contained something besides the Hydra Volume 2 scroll for once. There are actually a couple Everfull, or a bit of Black Isle. Geo Lizard Man. Easy as. Why does he pick up the small one and not the large one? Indeed. So be careful. I knew there were more than one in here. Maybe it's just that initial trip through. Oh, nice and misty. And then there are 3 up here, which should easily do it. Well, it's supposed to be. So, Azura armor is a spatial armor that if you wear it, it doubles the amount of discipline points you earn. So it's yet another tool to grind out your vocations if you've made it to post game and still don't have the augments that you want. They still think that the dragon's here for some reason. But they're still acting like it at least. So after this, yeah, we'll continue along. I was going to show you a couple real nice treasure chests. You watch the Succubi and the Hellhounds though. Okay, there's still a Hellhound in there. Where'd he go? Where did he go? There's another one over there. Easy as. Just because it bugs me to leave these buggers alive. Because how many times they've torpid me in the past. Where's the Gorky Mare? Or it hasn't respawned yet because it's a big boss. Now. So yeah, Malorian Helmet, the steel helmet, seems to be what can be in there. But in here, The rubble has blocked off the path we went to fight the dragon, but here's a chest that can have some really nice stuff in it. And then this chest up here can have a lordly cloak, which is really, really nice. It's that it looks like the tainted or tattered mantle, except white with gold trim. Well, it looks more like the alchemical cloak because it's not tattered, it's pristine. But yeah, those are a couple nice treasure chests that can have some good Everfull quality loot in it, because the lordly cloak is Everfull loot. Here's your nice ice sword. And with that, besides tangoing with some dire wolves, I'm going to use a regular fairy stone just to get it out of my inventory. We'll go up here, kill some dire wolves just for kicks and giggles. And then we'll call it a stream. Next time we'll dive into... Oh, it's nice and dark now. Maybe I even will throw out the lantern just in case. Actually, maybe better not to, because Wolf's eyes actually glow a bit. Although, it's not the easiest thing to see. So, if the pitch blacker it is, the more that he would stand out. Little pinpoints of like red light. Very much scary, very wow. Boy, that bush is doing some swaying. That bush has the rock and the Marnie and the boogie woogie flute. Okay. Oh, there's another. I went off to Jupiter there. How many have we knocked over? Or not even half. Well, close to half. I wonder if these bandits, these tough bandits, are still up here in this camp. Yep, they are. These are another set of really strong bandits. That's the executioner's looking mask. I really don't like it. It looks like a potato sack mixed with a quilt. So we go over here, we should. The undead are starting to spawn. Okay, there's some wolves. Just excuse me a moment, my eye's itching. What's that? Oh, Comestian. Alright. We should be quite close. Just one more. I guess we can define that as close. And with that, metal golems. So, with metal golems, Bitter Black Isle, or one particular... I think there's only one chamber in the Everfall where they can spawn. And there can be two different sets of boss monsters in there, so it's not even... So, you might have to clear it out first and then go back in to get it to spawn. Then you have to wait for it to respawn if you want both of them. But, luckily, there's a guaranteed one in this now supercharged version of Bitter Black Isle. Also, you can find them even in the regular Bitter Black Isle in one of the two arena rooms. It's one of the things that can spawn in there to fight. Have to go at. Of course, that one is... It has one of the medals is far out of reach of like a warrior or a fighter. And a Magick Archer as well, frankly, because your magic bar does only magic damage. Then their medals are of course immune to magic. So it's another one of those things where you just have to pray one of your pawns actually cracks the bloody thing. But back to Grand Soren. Dump off any excess mess. And with that, oh, there's the Bane Arch Staff. If you were curious what it looks like, you can buy it from Bayrock now that we acquired 3 Cursed Dragon Horns. So that's all for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed. Next time we will take a dive in the Everfall and try to clear out every chamber. But before we actually complete the game and go on into a new game plus, which is where I will think about my next playthrough, which is probably going to be a Mystic Knight. That's my plan so far. We will go and finish out Bitter Black Isle. So that's what we have in plan for the immediate future. When it comes to the Mystic Knight, that's a class I always been quite interested in. It's one of those I always get tanked up to do a playthrough after I finish the current one that I'm always on. But then, right when I start the bloody playthrough, something else comes up and I end up getting distracted and unable to actually finish it. So, this time we're going to try to prevent that from happening, but that is still a bit away. Still have this Everfall to go through and souped up version of Bit of Black Isle. We should actually hit level 200 before then. So yeah, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.